So Grand Octet is probably the most complicated phase in the entire fight to have initially made a strat for, I would imagine. But the execution of the strategies that are out right now, I think, make it one of the simpler parts of the fight. It's a little overwhelming because it's the last phase before ads and all that, but let's just get into it. The way that Octet works, so I'll just play through it and then we'll go back. So the way Octet works, the 5 dragons from Nail spawn around the arena, and then Nail, Twin, and Bahamut come in later. Initial dive bomb markers go out. The first dive bomb marker is for Nail, and then most of the subsequent dive bombs are for the random dragons around the arena. The last 2 markers that come out, the red one is for Bahamut, and then the last one is for Twintania. After all of the dive bombs resolve, there are 4 people that get a Mega Flare that need to stack with each other, and 4 towers that spawn around the arena that the Mega Flare people, or people who don't have Mega Flare should get. And then after all this resolves, there's a Twister. So it seems like there's a lot going on, and there is, but there's a lot of things that we can do to help mitigate the sequence and make it substantially easier. So let's break it down and go through that. So a lot of this movement seems incredibly strange, but here's how it works. So the first thing that you want to do is identify Bahamut, okay? You want to identify Bahamut and determine whether he is on a cardinal position or an intercardinal position. The next thing that you want to do is spin your camera around 180 degrees to run on the opposite direction of Bahamut. Okay, so we're going to go opposite of Bahamut, but we want to wait until the first dive bomb marker appears. If Bahamut is on a cardinal direction, then we're going to be running around the room counterclockwise. If he is on an intercardinal position, we're going to be running around the room clockwise. But you want to wait in the middle until the first dive bomb marker appears, because that's Nail, and we want Nail going through the middle. Okay, so the first dive bomb marker appears, you run opposite of Bahamut. Then you wait for Nail to dive. Once Nail dives, you start running in your either clockwise or counterclockwise position. Bahamut was on a cardinal. We're going to be running counterclockwise. And I'll be calling a lot of this in Discord, but just if you're curious how the mechanic works. The nice thing about Octet is that it's pretty much, you can call the entire thing. When to sprint, when to move in, so it's pretty easy as long as one person knows how to do it. So, once Nail hits, we're going to be run. So the catch is, as long as everyone is alive, everybody in the party will get exactly 1 dive bomb marker. 1 for Twin, 1 for Nail, 1 for Bahamut, and then 1 for each of the 5 dragons. It is very important that as you are moving, you look to see if you get a dive bomb marker. If you don't get a dive bomb marker by the end, then you will either get the red one for Bahamut, or if you don't get that one either, you have to bait Twintania. And the reason it's important that you pay attention is because Nail, Bahamut, and Twintania's markers snapshot when they appear. The other dragons when they disappear, but for the 3 main, for Nail, Bahamut, and Twin, they snapshot when they appear. So the person who has the Twintania marker has to know that they have it. Okay, so we run around the arena. Once the first dragon dives, we sprint. And the main purpose of sprinting when the first dragon dives is to make sure that this Bahamut marker, so like Bahamut was kind of over here on B, right? Is we want to make sure that we are not directly in front of Bahamut when this marker comes out. So it's basically you stand in the middle. Well, I'll do a quick summation at the end. But once you see the red marker, everyone goes towards the middle because Bahamut is going to be diving off the edge of the arena. Once Bahamut dives, if he's next to Twin, then the Twintania person needs to go bait. If Bahamut and Twin are not next to each other, then as soon as you go to the middle, the person who knows they have the Twin marker can go bait. The way that this sequence is supposed to work out, if you don't cheese it, is you have the Twintania person go immediately counterclockwise of Twin, so that Twin, it's baited off of this side. The Mega Flare people get in a loose stack immediately clockwise of Twintania, and then the 4 players who aren't marked soak the towers. If you do it this way, you need to have your Twintania person call if they have Mega Flare or if they need a tower, and then your 4 people with towers have to, all spread out, get their own tower, and leave the close one available if this person has no marker, and it makes for a lot more confusion. You also then have the Mega Flare people all stacked and then a Twister right after. It is 100% doable that way. I've done it that way. I've seen a lot of people do it that way. However, you can make this sequence a lot easier if you limit break. If you have limit break 3, then you can ignore the Mega Flare stack. And while that might not sound like a big deal, it takes half of the mechanics away from this section of the fight, and it makes it a lot easier. So you can see our Twintania person is going to go bait, and that was our ninja. As soon as the marker appears over his head, he can move, because again, it snapshots when it appears. So this sequence looks a little weird because people are running in circles. You can see people are running in circles in the towers, right? The reason people are running in circles in the towers is because the Twister kind of snapshots like just before the tower explodes. And so if you stand still and wait for the tower to explode, you can die to your own Twister. So the reason everyone's around is because you just run in a circle until the tower explodes, and then you just run out. Okay? Then you just avoid the Twisters that are on the ground. You go to the middle and you get ready for ads. And you have plenty of time to do this, so you can kind of take your time and do that. So I'm going to go through this last sequence again. So the tower spawn, everyone, is kind of like, okay, I'm going to a tower, and then this is where it's good to call in Discord. Okay, I'm getting this tower that we're in, whatever. But you can see our Mega Flare people don't have to worry about the stack at all because the tank limit break completely nullifies that. So everyone can kind of spread out this way and and just kind of run around the edge and make sure that no Twisters are going to kill anyone. So you just kind of run around in a circle. You can see how other people are still just moving, and then we all just kind of run, at the end, make sure there's no Twisters, and get ready for ads phase. So I will rewind this, and we will go back through this entire sequence one more time. So Bahamut is on a Cardinal. Oh, so one other thing I did forget to mention, and I apologize. If Nail is opposite of Bahamut, which can happen, so, if we're going to use Bahamut as 12 o'clock in this scenario, if Nail is directly across from Bahamut, then you have to move because Nail is going to be the first person to charge. So if you're going counterclockwise, so in this instance, we're going counterclockwise, so we're going from D this way. If Nail was here, we would just run here, and then when Nail goes, we would just do our normal movement. If you are one dragon ahead, you don't have to sprint. But again, these are things that can be called in Discord as long as one person knows that, but if you're just curious how that works. So if Nail was here and Bahamut was on an inter-cardinal, we were going clockwise, then we would just go, here instead. So that's the only kind of caveat, but again, it's things that can all be easily called in Discord. So wait for the marker to appear, run across. We're going to wait for Nail to dive, then we start moving. So we start moving, and then we wait for the first dragon to dive. Once the first dragon dives, and you can usually see it or hear it, you sprint. Once you keep sprinting until you see the Bahamut marker, and then you run middle. And then the person who hasn't gotten a marker needs to go bait Twintania immediately counterclockwise, and then everyone else starts kind of loose spreading. You need to have at least one person in each tower. You don't want to have more than that. And then you just kind of run in a circle till the towers explode. The Twisters appear. If everyone's a loose spread, it kind of makes that sequence pretty brain dead. And then we go into ads phase, which is really the end of the fight. I mean, golden is certainly a thing, but we'll go into the ads phase in our next video. It's one of the more complicated things in the fight, mainly due to tension and stress from being there. But we'll go into that sequence next.